So for a guy who's pretty much been doing YouTube videos all about playing the long game and getting figures for $4.99 at Ollie's, it's a pretty big deal. I'm building the Mindless one tonight. Hey YouTube, what goes on? And welcome back to Disavowed Action Figures, bringing you another action figure review and actually an action figure Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure Wave build. That's right, we have all the pieces together to build the Marvel Legends Marvel Knights Mindless one. I'm so pumped to have this. If you watch the channel, you watch my toy, and so you know I played a long game a lot of times. I will buy figures new if I really want them, but it's rare I want an entire wave early. I tend to play the long game to build a Build-A-Figure, and here it is, because it's not in Walmart, it's not in Target, it's not in big box. You're not going to get it for a clearance price anytime soon. So I jumped at it. So I picked up the majority of the figures over at Amazon. Clea came from Big Bad Toy Store, so I think I paid like $1 extra plus shipping for her. Blade, cards on the table, I paid a little bit more for. It was out of stock on Amazon. It popped back in the stock really quickly, and before I can get it ordered, it jumped back up in price. So I ended up paying a bit of a premium for Blade. I think I got it for around like $35 free shipping, something like that. But I really wanted to get this Build-A-Figure in hand because this is a Build-A-Figure I'm super pumped about. If you don't know much about the Mindless one, I'll talk a little bit about it here as we're building it throughout the video. But this is a character that very much is in some of my favorite Marvel Comics story arcs and crossovers from the past 5 years or so. So we'll build this thing together on camera. I might screw it up a little bit, so be patient with me. I'm definitely not a professional. We'll get it together. We'll see how it looks once it's put together. We'll move it around, see the articulation. I'll do my favorite part of all these videos, which is to compare it to other figures, including Build-A-Figures in the Marvel Legends series. And just in case you missed any of my other reviews, feel free to go check those out. I did review Blade, Lady Bullseye, Luke Cage, and also the Fist Ninja. I did not review Iron Man or Clea. I did not yet pick up Daredevil, but if you wanted to build the Mindless one, you needed all 6 of those figures in order to build this chunky Build-A-Figure here in 2023. So one pretty cool thing that they did here, the Mindless one is actually an army builder, which I know is brutal as a Build-A-Figure. They did already tell us, more or less tongue-in-cheek, I think it was Dwight Stahl in an interview from Marvel Legends, that we will probably be getting this a little bit later on down the road as a deluxe release as well. I'm sure it'll be slightly different, but if you want to army build it, you could definitely wait and get that deluxe. I wanted it right away. But one cool thing they did pack in this effect with the head. So basically, if you have multiples, you can either have this in or just pop this right out off of the eyes. That way you can kind of differentiate your Mindless one a little bit on the shelf and make it look different than the other ones. And I thought that was a pretty good idea. Also, they did give us multiple looks for the hands. So we do get open hands default on both of the arms. However, we also got a set of punching hands as well. So if you wanted to army build these, you really could. You can make them look a little bit different on your shelf. Or if you just want one, you have some options regarding your figure photography. All right, so I kind of moved some pieces around, make this a little bit easier. So the torso did come in 2 separate pieces. You can see right here, we do have pegs you have to line up to make sure they pop on properly. So again, just making sure you have the proper pieces lined up. You don't want to break one of these pegs. That will ruin your figure. Again, not really a satisfying pop. Just kind of clicks into place right there. The legs are the thing you have to be careful about here to really make sure you're getting them on there all the way. So you can see they do put letters. So there's an R. If you can kind of see it focusing up right there. So the R will go on the right side, obviously. So making sure to really get that on there. And you have to make sure as you're doing this, apply a lot of pressure, but you're going to know it's on all the way when you actually do get this piece kind of over the top of the thigh. So it's not just a pop. You actually have to get that over the top for it to be secure in place. Then I have my left leg, which is right here. So there's my L going in the left-hand side. And again, same thing here. You're going to make sure you do apply some pressure, and you're going to want to make sure you do get that top part over the thigh. You can see right there, I kind of went over the top for me. So there we go. That's, see, it popped off again. So again, making sure you really apply pressure to get it all the way in there. So get the peg in and also get it in over top of that part of the leg to get it in all the way. I think we're good to go right there. And then in addition to that, we're going to make sure we get our arms put into place as well. So here are our arms. So I'm going to pop this in on the correct side right here. Again, be careful getting that in. There's a bit of a pop, so it should be all the way in. A bit more pop than I expected. My other side, big chunky guy right here. So again, lining that up. There we go. I got a pretty decent pop right there to know that's all the way in. Now I just got to pop my head on. I'm going to take this piece off for now, just until I manage to get them actually lined up the right way. So get that head piece off. Here's our head. Eye looks pretty cool. So again, right there, just be careful popping that sucker on. And we'll get that on there all the way. Again, applying pressure is the key with these things, because sometimes you can't quite get it all the way in where it needs to go. Here we go. Got a bit of a pop feeling that time, so that should be all the way in. And then we pretty much have to put our eyepiece back in. So if you want to see this with the eye in, here we go. Pop that right into the front, that effects piece. And we have alternate fists. We'll mess around later on. So there we go. Adjusting the camera because it's a big chunky boy. There is our Build-A-Figure put together. Now let's take a closer look at what he looks like up close, and then we'll also move him around and do some comparisons. So I mentioned earlier, one of the reasons I really dig this figure and this character is because it's from a storyline I really enjoyed in the past 10 years. So let's sit down at the magic carpet and have a little story time here with Disavowed. That story was Original Sin. I really enjoyed this book. I'm a huge Nick Fury fan, so this was a book I really enjoyed. Written by Jason Aaron, art by Mike Deodato. So without going through the entire book and spoiling it, this is my first actual exposure to the Mindless one. And they basically are an army builder, like I said. So in this particular book, an entire army of the Mindless ones basically attack the Avengers, Nick Fury, Punisher, Rocket Raccoon. There's so many people involved in this storyline. It's actually really cool, all the different characters they cram on one page together. But here you can see they're actually using their optic blast, if you will, to actually attack other people. So again, very cool book. I suggest checking it out if you could read this. But because the Mindless one was in this, it really made me jump all over this wave to be all in. So it's really cool. Again, I'm really hoping that it is true that down the road we are going to get a deluxe release of this, maybe even in a 2-pack, which would be really cool. But again, it looks great. It's a really fun Build-A-Figure. It's a deep dive for the most part onto your comic book shelf, but it fits perfectly into this wave of Marvel Knights. So this guy is huge, he's chunky, and he's actually really well detailed. So taking a closer look at him here, you can actually see all the different textures they put on this guy. So again, just this big chunk of like black/dark gray rock. There are just kind of like divots and cuts and extra pieces of rock all over his body, even on the hands. They did a nice job of adding a lot of texture on the hands, all the way up the arms, obviously. The back is done really well in addition to that. Even the head itself has some really cool looking texture. So again, this really does come off. Originally, I thought it was like an evil Ben Grimm character, to be honest, when I first read that book, Original Sin, because I didn't have much background on these. But now having read comics for a lot longer and seeing some other different mediums, for instance, these characters do pop up in the Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 when you're fighting in the Dark Dimension. So again, just a great figure, great Build-A-Figure, big chunky Build-A-Figure like we'd love to have in the collection. Now let's see how he moves, then we'll do some comparisons of some other Build-A-Figures and also some other figures in the Marvel Legends and other lines as well. Let's take a look at how this guy moves around and articulates for a big chunky boy. The head will rotate side to side, as you can see right here. It will look down about that far. It will look up about that far. Just be careful to get some gappage going on. Shoulder will rotate all the way around. It will go out to just below 90. Upper bicep cut going on right there. Single jointed elbow. Also, it will rotate here at the elbow. Hand does go rotate all the way around. It will go left to right, horizontal hinge. Leg will kick up about that far. Leg will kick back about yay far. There's a cut here in the thigh. Just be careful because if you twist it too much, it's going to want to pull away and loosen that leg and it's going to pop off. You do get a single jointed knee. Also, it will articulate down here at the knee. The foot will rotate down and articulate down about that far. Foot will go up slightly a little bit. It is on a rocker. As far as the torso goes, it will go far, about that far forward. We'll go back about that far, but you get the kind of gapping going on in the front. It will go side to side like so. So again, articulation on a big chunky guy, not too bad. Kind of reminds me of like the Cull Obsidian from a handful of years ago and how that moved around. Pretty similar to me, at least I feel like. So articulation, not terrible for big chunky boy. Here is how the Mindless one Build-A-Figure stacks up and compares to its other wave mates. Here is the Blade and the Lady Bullseye, both being from the Mindless one Marvel Knights wave. And you can see it's tall, but it's not huge. I think it's pretty much adequately sized compared to how it would be in the comics from what I've seen in books that I've read. And here are two of the characters that played pivotal roles in the original Sin comic book that I mentioned earlier. Here is the Nick Fury on the Bucky cap, which I will always dig as one of my favorite figures. And also here is the Ultimate Captain America. Yes, I know Ultimate Captain America wasn't in the storyline, but it's the closest Captain America I had to me that I can grab for this comparison. So again, you can see Cap almost, up past the neck joint of where the Mindless one would be, and Nick Fury a little bit shorter than that. Two other characters that were pretty pivotal in that storyline were the Winter Soldier as well as the Black Widow. And yes, I snuck my Black Widow from the back right there. That is the Target exclusive. That's probably going to be one of the top 10, top 5 maybe, figures of the year. I'm going to slide the camera angle back slightly for the big boy comparisons. Here is the Mindless One Build-A-Figure from Marvel Knights compared to the Target exclusive Red Hulk figure, and pretty much the Hulk buck that all the Hulks have been on from the comic book series recently. Here is the Mindless One as compared to the Kingpin Build-A-Figure wave from the Spider-Man wave several years ago. And Kingpin is just slightly taller than the Mindless One. Here's the Mindless One Build-A-Figure as compared to the Armadillo Spider-Man Build-A-Figure. So again, Armadillo really dwarfs this guy, which makes me realize how huge Armadillo actually was. Here's the Mindless One as compared to the recent released 60 Years of the Avengers Thor and Destroyer 2-pack Destroyer. And you can kind of just barely cut his head off here, but you get the idea. He is a lot freaking bigger than the Mindless One. And one more Marvel Legends chunky figure comparison, and this is a pretty fair one right here. Here is Ben Grimm the Thing. I believe this is the retro carded Thing as compared to the Mindless One. And again, this really, I think, gives you the best idea of scale because the Mindless One has fought the Fantastic Four several times. So you can see that really Ben Grimm, maybe slightly taller at the top of the head here. But again, kind of cool having these two big rocky sons of bees just kind of smacking each other around a little bit on your comic book panel or your action figure shelf or dio. For some Hasbro comparisons outside the Marvel Legends line, here's the Mindless One standing with the G.I. Joe Classified Low Light and the Indiana Jones Adventure Series Club Obi-Wan Indiana Jones from Temple of Doom. For some fun random comparisons with other lines, here is the NECA Ultimate Alf figure from this year, and also the Plunderlings Feral Cheetah. And you might have been asking why I didn't go up for a tighter shot after those big chunky Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures. This is why, because I knew we were going to pull out that DC Multiverse, McFarlane Toys, big bad mother fragger Lobo. And Lobo, I think, pairs pretty well with the Mindless One. I can see these guys totally toss each other around a little bit at a bar, maybe over a beer. And last, and as everybody loves to say, certainly not least, here is your Marvel Legends Mindless One Marvel Knights Build-A-Figure standing next to the Jazzwares AEW Unrivaled Orange Cassidy. Yeah, I think Orange thinks he might be able to look into that orange eye and maybe make a friend, but something tells me the reflection on those glasses is only going to be pain. So that's going to do it for our review of the Marvel Legends Marvel Knights Mindless One Build-A-Figure. This thing is freaking awesome. Again, had this been at Targets and Walmarts, I'd have been all over army building this son of a gun. A bunch of these on a shelf is going to look really freaking cool, especially with the mix and match playability of the fist and the hands and that optic piece. Really well done. Build-A-Figure Hasbro. These are the types of Build-A-Figures that make you want to go out there and build one and get every figure in that wave. As a whole, this wave was fantastic. I dig darker characters. I'm all about it. As I mentioned, most of these, or a lot of these characters at least, popped up in comic books that I've read and really enjoyed. So this will look really impressive on your shelf. Here's hopefully getting some sort of Army Builder deluxe figure down the road to kind of add to the shelf with this. But again, this will be right up there in my top 5, top 6 for Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure of the year. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you are new, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free for you. It does not cost you anything, and it helps us grow the channel tremendously in the march to 5,000 subscribers. We're right there. Hit that sub button. We're like 50 away. If you like daily content, Go ahead and click that bell for notifications. That way YouTube notifies you and tells you when we post content here at the channel, like our weekly toy hunts, reviews, and live streams. Leave a comment down below, hit that like button, and for more daily content, check us out over Instagram and Twitter at disavowed_12. Hey everybody, if you're going toy hunting this week, please try to remember the 3 P's of the toy hunt: patience, persistence, but most of all, politeness. Take care, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing all of you at the pegs.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been